a lot of the ways in which these frauds are perpetrated, and we've also talked about what you should do to prevent such a situation from occurring. But the reality is, and I said it earlier, a lot of stories very close to home, this happens more often than not. There are a few things that you can do immediately, and there are steps that have been put in place. You mentioned agencies that are government sponsored that are working towards recovery. But there is a golden window, as they call it. What is the first thing that you do, Adhil?
Yeah, so Alex, there are actually 3 things you need to do, but I'll cycle through them and then we'll discuss them. And it's so important you're talking about this to consumers, right? Because a lot of times people fall victim. So let's assume you've fallen victim. Yeah. Now what do you do, right? So firstly, right, RBI has created a golden window of zero liability, wherein if you complain to your bank that this fraudulent payment has happened and you've not made any clear mistake. So for example, the OTP has not been used for the transaction. The secret PIN has not been used.
Has not been shared.
You've not given these card details to your spouse or your child, who's then subsequently used them. So provided you've not made any error and no PIN has been used, no OTP has been used, right? You have a 3-day golden window, which is called the zero liability window. And this is done by reporting it immediately to your bank. And then there's a dispute form that you need to file with all the proof that when you reported, the fact that you've not used your card for this and so on and so forth. But the important thing over here, right, is it needs to be established that the secret OTP was not utilized, the secret PIN was not utilized.
How many instances can you think of where such a situation can arise?
So see, with international transactions that can happen.
Sure.
With the domestic transaction, it's not possible because there's a 2-factor authentication. So unless someone has had access to your mobile phone. See, what sometimes happens is people will let the OTP go to their mobile and to an email, and that email will be managed by someone else.
Sure.
So I think you just need to prove in that golden window 3-day period that you've not used the OTP and you've not used the PIN, secret PIN.
Yeah.
Between 3 and 7 days, 4 and 7 days, the liability increases. So you might have a 10,000 rupee liability, and after 7 days, it's the bank policy. So this is number 1.
Oh, but just to follow up on that, in that situation, does the bank bear the liability, or do you wait for that money to be clawed back for you to get paid? That's what I want to know.
So it's a case-by-case situation, Alex, because see, if the transaction has happened abroad, no OTP has been used, no PIN has been used, right? Then you are protected under the zero liability window. As long as you can prove, right, that you've not made any negligent error, you have what is called the zero liability protection up to 3 days, which the RBI has provided. But like I said, every case is different. Because like I said, the OTP happened to be going to an email, that email is with someone else, you're not using it. So all these nitty-gritties needs to be looked into. So this is one where, the money is moved out of your account and you're disputing it.
That was the first one. There are other ways in which you can, of course, react, and you must, in fact, do a few things very importantly.
Yeah, so the second one is the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, NCRP. So here's wherein the Ministry of Home Affairs has set up this portal. They're coordinating with all the banks, they're coordinating with all the payment apps, the payment gateways, and they will see if they can block the money moving from bank to bank and eventually to the fraudster. So you should immediately file a complaint with the NCRP. They have a website, you can go there, you can file a complaint, they have a phone number, and they will try and see, right, if they can block the money going through the entire system.
This is what you had said at the start about calls being made, the 67,000 calls?
Yes, so they had put out some press recently saying, they get calls for a lot of things, but in total they're getting 67,000 calls a day on various issues and inquiries that people have, right? And they're the people who've also said that they've stopped 2,300 crores of fraudulent money by putting in checks. There's a very interesting news item wherein a techie in Hyderabad had transferred several lakhs to a fraudster and immediately he alerted the NCRP. And the police who was managing the NCRP, because of the quick coordination between various banks and payment gateways, were able to stop that money reaching the fraudster's account.
Because it normally moves from the account to which it's been transferred to several other accounts very, very quickly before it
That's
gets
the chain that they're trying to control,
break,
right?
and they're breaking that.
And I think it's good that the Ministry of Home Affairs has put this up. All the banks are coordinating, all the payment apps are coordinating, all the payment gateways are coordinating. So this is to try and stop the flow before it reaches the final fraudster's destination.
Okay.